Today we are going to discuss the causes of War of Independence. That is, that a war was fought or a rebellion was fought in 1857 in India. Today we are going to discuss the causes of that war or that rebellion. Guys, there are multiple reasons. There are scores of reasons for that rebellion. But if we will try to understand the causes, we have to group those causes in under certain headings. And if we will group them, they came under almost five headings. That's the political causes, religious causes, social causes, military causes, and economic causes. Since there were multiple reasons from multiple segments of society which led to that rebellion. So let's discuss those causes one by one. First, let's see the political causes. The first cause that became responsible for that rebellion was the doctrine of lapse. Guys, those who are not familiar with this doctrine, this was a principle introduced by British East India Company. And according to this doctrine, if any local Indian leader saw themselves in decline, for example, if they don't have a male heir, then their region or their state will be merged in companies areas. So in the other words, it was just like that. If any ruler was declining, then company was taking over that state. So this became one of the major reason for that rebellion. For a number of states were lapsed, or number of states were taken under control of British by using this doctrine. For example, the state of Rani of Jhansi was taken by British by using the doctrine of lapse, and Nana Sahab had to lost his state because of this doctrine. So they later on become the leaders of the War of Independence because they had lost their states under this system. And the mainstream Mughal Empire, who had remained the rulers of India since 1526, were mistreated, and they were disrespected, especially by Lord Dalhousie when he moved the royal family from Delhi to Qutub Shah. This was some sort of a ridicule attempt to the or ridiculization of the uh, ruling class of India, which was not acceptable to Indians. And the civil service jobs were given to in civil service jobs were given to less Indians. Adding fuel to the fire, the British replaced Persian and declared English as their official language. This made number of Indians who were already educated just like uneducated, because the Indians were educated in Persian language, and when the Persian language was replaced by English, those Indians who were educated, even they became just like uneducated people because they were not familiar with English language. And now let's see the religious causes. The first religious cause, which became the immediate cause of the War of Independence as well, was the use of new type of rifle with a paper cartridge covering with greases made up of fat of pig and cow. Since the meat of pig is forbidden in Hinduism, and meat of pig is forbidden in Islam, and meat of cow is forbidden in Hinduism. So that cartouche or that cartridge or the use of that rifle become some sort of taboo for both major religious communities of India, that were the Hindus and Muslims. Next, the Islam, Hinduism, and Sikhism, three major religions of India, were under threat from the British rule, as the Christian missionaries used to come to India and promote their religion. So three major religions of India, Islam, Hinduism, and Sikhism, were under threat. And missionaries established schools and taught Christianity, and those missionaries were under the supervision of government, and under the government was protecting them. who were propagating Christianity, and which became a threat for three major religions: Islam, Hinduism, and Sikhism. Now let's see the social causes. Indians were treated as inferior race. Indians were ridiculed. The British were ridiculing Indians, and British and Indians weren't socially equal. There was no social equality between British and Indians. British were considering themselves as the masters of Indians, and they were considering, or they were thinking, that Indians were their slaves, and they were treating them just like animals. And British considered themselves as superior race and Indians as inferior race, and thought that it was their duty to take India away from slavery, cannibalism, superstition, and to make it a civilization. Remember, guys, India hate a civilization. The Indian civilization, it's an ancient civilization. It was a well-developed civilization, though it was not developed on modern lines at that time. There's major difference between educating somebody and ridiculing somebody. If they were just educating Indians, that was not bad. But the company was ridiculing them. They were thinking that their literature was they were considering their literature as a useless material, and their culture as a barbarian culture, right? They were not trying to transform their culture, rather they were trying to destroy their culture and the separate of British culture by removing Indian culture, which was a well established culture, was not acceptable to Indians. Now let's see the economic causes. You know that economic causes are the actual causes of any war. All wars do have economic causes. There is no war in the world which do not have economic causes. Economic causes are the major causes for any war. The practice of imposing high taxes was not acceptable to Indians because the Indians were poor, and on being poor they had to pay high taxes as well, which became very difficult for them to survive. And inability of peasants and landowners to pay tax create resentment among peasants and landowners because their income was very low and they had to pay a lot of tax. And after paying taxes, it became in on number of occasions it happens that people don't have money to feed their children. British made profits from Indian wealth because British were using Indian raw material, and they were producing finished goods and selling them back to Indians. So British were getting wealth, or British were becoming rich by using the Indian resources. And taxes were kept by Britishers that were very high, which was not acceptable to Indians, and which must not be acceptable to Indians because the economic condition of India was not allowing that. Now let's see the military reasons. First one was the most of the soldiers in army were Indians and were usually low paid. The Indians in the army were kept at low grades, and even their pay was low. There was discrimination in army. The Indians were paid low salary and British were paid high salary, which was totally unacceptable to Indian soldiers. And the officer class included British. No Indian was included in officer class. Indians were only inducted in lower class, in usually the spoils. And there were regular rumors that the Muslims and Sikh soldiers are forced to convert to Christianity. We don't know whether it's true or not, but we do have certain uh, proves as well that Muslims and Sikhs were forced to convert to Christianity because the Christians or the British were thinking that the Muslim and Sikh soldiers as a threat to them. So instead of listening to them, or instead of listening or instead of listening to their reservations, they were forcing them to convert to Christianity, which which must not be acceptable and which was not acceptable to them. Thank you for joining. I hope guys you enjoy this clip. Please do not forget to subscribe to channel. Once again, thanks for joining. Take care. Goodbye.